Hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. It's been a while since we last played the game on the channel, but recently they've updated the game, releasing update 4, which means there's a lot of new content for us to unlock and play around with. The last time we played the game was with update 3, and we created our own mega factory that manufactured all of the different components within it. But with update 4, a lot of item recipes have been tweaked and changed, and instead of ripping out the old factory to fix it up, I've just decided to restart with a brand new game and experience it all over again as we work our way towards the new endgame content that comes with the new tier 8 unlocks. So without further ado, let's start a new game and begin. And normally I would go for the grass field starting area, but I think for this playthrough we will go with the dune desert one, just for some different scenery. Well, we're in and we have got a lot of area for us to potentially build on, but I think first things first, let's get ourselves some ore. Well, sadly this iron ore node is impure, but it'll need to do for now. I will start mining this up once we get this pure one taken out the road. And because we skipped the beginning intro, we already have a few items here that we can put down, including some of these portable miners. So we'll set one down and we'll let that start mining for us. And I think in the meantime I should find a place to put down this hub. And I'm thinking there. So we'll start off getting our tier upgrades, and I'll go for the base building one, of which I'm going to need to collect 200 concrete, 100 iron plates and 100 iron rods. So hopefully our little miner has already collected us a lot of iron, which we've nearly got 90 of it, so that's not bad. So we'll start making our very first basic factory, and I'll put down a smelter and we'll get some of these irons turned into ingots. Well, I've established our very first basic factory that just simply takes out iron ore, smelts it into iron ingots and then stores it. Well, it would if we had some power into it. And I will be the first one to say that efficiency is not my strong point, but I will try my hardest to make things efficient in this playthrough. I'm aware that these smelters here can do iron ingots at 30 per minute, and these conveyor belts can transport 60 items every minute, so I will actually be able to put 2 smelters down here to split this conveyor belt up eventually, once we get access to splitters. But for now, I'll put down this biomass burner, and we will hook it up to our smelter, and I will now need to go find some biomass to put into that for fuel. And here is our very first nasty. You stay away from me, chap. I'm going elsewhere. Although, I think this is maybe a concrete deposit here. It is limestone. Yes, this will make our concrete, and it is an impure node as well. I will set up a little miner on top of it. There you go, chap. You get us lots of lovely limestone. Whoops, and there's another nasty, and I'll leave there, and hopefully that'll collect some for us while I go look for some of these biomass materials. At least we have plenty of leaves around for this. And no, you're not wrong. It's not gotten dark very quick. It's actually taking quite some time for it to get dark. It's just because I've pissed around trying to relearn the game a little bit here. Ooh, there's another node. We have got ourselves a normal copper ore node here actually. That's brilliant. That nasty isn't brilliant. Right, he's now dead, and it is super bright here actually. It's really nice. Let's get ourselves some copper. Well, we've collected a few leaves, so let's put that in as some fuel. That'll turn on our biomass burner, which in turn will turn on our smelter here, and we are starting to get our iron ingots out. Perfect. And I have just enough reinforced iron plates here to make 4 constructors, which should just be enough for us to make the first basic components. Well, I'll get this one making our iron plates for us, and then next door we'll get this one making our iron rods. I think I'll make wire in this next one, and finally some concrete in the last one. So that should be all 4 of them now making the basic components for us. I think this may have stopped smelting. Yes it did, and we have a couple of iron ingots to play around with. So I'll just put half a stack of these in for now, and I'll go get some more iron to make some more ingots. And I forgot I'm going to need to actually power those, so I'll put a power pole down there and disconnect the smelter from this just now. So that's our 2 constructors now connected up to some power, so hopefully they will make our components for us. And we'll change the smelter over to do our copper ingots for us, and I will load this one up here with the copper ore. And I'll stick the raw limestone into this one, and we'll get our concrete out from it. And it also helps whenever I actually give our smelter back the power that I originally took off it. But there's our copper ingots. And I already need to go do another fuel run. Fun. I really need to get coal ASAP so that I don't need to keep doing this. And we'll also just pretend that I totally didn't forget that we should actually be making biomass with the leaves rather than putting them in raw. That's definitely something that I wouldn't have done. Well, at least now with this biomass we won't go through our fuel just as quickly. Well, a short while later I think we now have made all of the components we require for this upgrade, so let's put them all in and push the big red button. So that is our base building milestone unlocked, which is grand because now we have access to our foundations. And our next milestone is our logistics, which is going to give us our splitters and our mergers. And by the looks of it, we already have all of the items required for it. So whenever the pod comes back in a minute's time, we will put those in and get that upgrade as well. And that's the pod returned, so let's put all the items in and send it away again. And that's us unlocked our logistics. So I'm going to rip down this factory here, place down some foundations, and then we can start making this factory up properly. And yes, it is night again, but what I'm thinking is as I need a lot of this limestone to turn into foundations, I should start off by making a foundation factory here. So little miner, I appreciate all the work you've done for us, but I'll pick you up and we'll see about placing down a proper miner in your place. Which we'll do so by placing down this Mark 1 miner here. And unfortunately, because this limestone is impure, whenever we come into our miner, we're only going to be able to get 30 limestone out every minute. So we're not going to be able to make a lot of concrete quickly, but at least we'll be able to make some. So we have a nice basic setup here for our foundation. The miner will mine our limestone, put it into our constructor to make the limestone, and then it'll be stored. So hopefully once this thing is powered on, we'll have enough to begin our main factory. And I've seen there just in the distance there is a power slug which could actually help us speed this process up. So I'm going to now need to parkour my way up there to get it. And after this leap of faith, we are rewarded with our green power slug. And now another leap of faith. And I forgot that we actually require research first before we can overclock these things. So our little slug here will just need to wait for now. But at least on the other hand, we have some concrete in. I did so many things wrong and made so many poor decisions in my last playthrough. Don't expect anything different during this one. Well, we get the MAM for our research once we unlock this next milestone for this field research, which we will require 300 wire, 300 screws and 100 iron plates in order to get. And once we have the MAM, then we'll be able to research those slugs and be able to overclock these buildings. I have 2 iron nodes over here, both of them are impure though, but with 2 miners on top of them, I'll be able to extract 60 items out of it per minute. And in fact, I already have the start of a potential factory for this. So our 60 iron will come from our 2 iron miners down there, and we'll travel up here and go into the splitter there, which then will split it 2 ways so we have 30 apiece. These smelters can then make iron ingots at a rate of 30 iron ore per minute, so then one side will feed this constructor 30 per minute, which is just enough for us to get 20 iron plates out per minute. And then the other side is just a little bit different. It will feed 30 iron ingots out every minute, and it will go into this splitter in front, which is then again split into 2 ways, one of which will come into this constructor at a rate of 15 per minute and will make us 15 iron rods per minute. And we have another constructor doing the exact same, but if I had more reinforced iron plates, I would make another constructor in front of that, and it would then make screws for us. So then in total, from 2 iron nodes, we would then be able to make 3 different components. Pretty efficiently, I would say. Well, we'll see if that plan works. I've powered this factory up, and we'll just let it make some components for us to begin with. And in the meantime, now that I have iron rods, I can make some screws, which in turn then means I can make these reinforced iron plates to make the constructors, which will then make screws for us. And I've seen that the recipe for these screws are going to require 10 iron rods every minute, and these constructors behind are actually making 15 every minute. So I'm thinking I can do a bit of belt splitting work here with the iron rods, so I can both store the iron rods and then also make even more screws. And that belt splitting magic looks something like this. 15 iron rods will come into this splitter here, which will split it 3 ways, 2 of which will go into this merger there, making 10, and then that will go and be stored. The other 5 will come along this conveyor belt, merging up with the 15 from this constructor, making 20. That 20 is then split into 2, so we have 10 going into that constructor and 10 going into that constructor over there, which is the perfect amount of rods every minute in order for us to make 40 screws every minute. So in total then, we will make 80 screws every minute out of both of these machines. Well, that all works in theory, so let's put it to practice. And yes, everything seems to be going nice and fine here, everything is working, and we are producing just the right amount of components here. So much so that I already have all of the components required for us to get this research. So let's press the button. Well, we can now build this MAM so we can research new objects like that power slug. But first I'm going to need to get some more reinforced iron plates and copper wire. And the iron components aren't going to be too difficult to get. This factory is producing everything at a real nice rate. The copper, on the other hand, is something I'm going to need to look into next. Fortunately for us, this copper ore deposit here is actually normal quality, which means after I place this miner down, we are actually able to get out 60 copper ores every minute. So once again, after I pick up some more biomass materials, I'll be able to go back and set myself up a nice copper factory with that one line. And I'm going to get the obstacle clearing upgrade next, because this is going to unlock our chainsaw as well as some more efficient solid biofuel for our biomass burners. But in the meantime, I have taken this copper ore node and have transformed it into a simple copper components manufacturing factory. So I'll quickly walk you through how this factory operates. We get copper ore out of this miner here at a rate of 60 every minute. The 60 then comes into the splitter and is split two ways, so we have 30 going into each of these smelters. These smelters smelt the copper ore at a rate of 30 every minute, and we get out 30 copper ingots every minute. The outputs here are just a mirror image of each other, but we have 30 copper ingots come out every minute, and they come into the splitter here, which then splits it again into two ways, so we have 15 going along into these constructors. And every constructor requires 15 copper ingots every minute, which is what they're getting, and this will produce us 30 wire every minute. So these two constructors here just simply store the wire in some chests, but these two constructors here send their 30 wire out, combining it in this merger to make 60 wire per minute that goes into this constructor here, which is again just exactly what we require every minute in order to create 30 cables per minute. So I think we're getting a nice output from our one copper ore node. And looking at all of the parts that we can currently make in these constructors, that's all the components being manufactured for us that we will require for now. So I'll set down another biomass burner for power and we'll start manufacturing our copper components. And as we wait on those components, you'll never guess what I need to go do, and I'm in luck. There is another green power slug over there for me to collect. There's just one obstacle in the way first. Well, that really didn't take too long. I now have all of the items we require for this upgrade. So we'll press the big red button and we'll get the obstacle clearing upgrade. And perfect! We can now create our chainsaw as well as some solid biofuel, which means I now get to have some fun deforesting this place. Just so that in turn I can make some more solid biofuel to continue keeping my factories operational and continue polluting the planet. Anyway, I think it's time for another upgrade. We'll go for the parts assembly one this time, which is going to unlock quite a few different things for us. And even better, that it doesn't cost too much to get. Well, while we wait, I'll build this MAM, and that's all of my power gone as well, and we will research these power slugs. Which is great because it only takes 3 seconds. And that's our green power slugs researched. So I can now make these power shards, which I'll be able to place into machines to speed them up once we get this overclock production research. And it's straight back to making more solid biofuel for me. I probably should make up a factory for this. But good news, I now have all of the components required for this parts assembly upgrade. So this should be our assemblers unlocked. And even better news, that's our overclock production upgrade complete as well. So now, at the expense of some power, I can overclock our limestone miner so we get 45 limestone out per minute, which is perfect for our constructor, which requires 45 limestone every minute. So we're going to start producing our concrete a lot more efficiently. Our Logistics Mark II upgrade is something I'm going to get next, as this unlocks our faster conveyor belts. But they are going to require 50 reinforced iron plate, and I'm not going to make them by hand. I'll get an assembler machine to do that for me. Although in saying that, I'm actually going to need to make reinforced iron plates by hand so that I can actually make an assembler, as well as 4 rotors. At least the rotors are nice and easy to make, just requiring iron rods and screws. To make the reinforced iron plates in an assembler, I'm going to require 30 iron plates per minute and 60 screws per minute. And I'm absolutely fine on the screw front here because both of these constructors are making 40 screws every minute, so I've got 80 in total coming out. But this constructor over here is making iron plates at a rate of 20 per minute, so we don't have enough coming out. So I think I'll just find myself another iron ore node and we'll set up another factory. And I didn't realise we had one so close. Let's go check out its purity. We have another impure node here. I am tempted to go see if I can find a normal or better. My god, nasty. Well, actually, I've changed my mind. I think I will use this impure node. We are only able to get out 30 iron ore per minute from this miner, but that should be enough for us to make another set of iron plates. So this little setup here now will just be enough to produce another 20 iron plates per minute, meaning in total we will have 40 iron plates per minute being made. And as our reinforced iron plates only require 30 normal iron plates every minute, I can do a bit more fancy belt splitting work to get those numbers. The setup for this is rather simple. 30 iron plates come out of this constructor and come into this splitter here, which splits it 3 ways. So we have 10 apiece coming out of this splitter, 2 of which come upstairs and come into this merger, so we will store 20 iron plates per minute, and the remaining 10 will come out on this conveyor belt and will meet up with the 20 coming from that other factory, producing the 30 required to make these reinforced iron plates. And we have a similar process here again but for screws. 40 comes out of the storage, gets split into 2, half of it comes up here, the other half comes over here, joining up with the 40 that comes out of here, so we have 60 screws in total per minute coming out, which again is just the perfect amount we require to make these reinforced iron plates. And we will test out that principle right after we get back with some more biomass. Well, our factory is back powered on, and things do seem to be slowly moving in here, so we will see if this is actually going to work. Which so far so good actually. Maybe a bit slow on the iron plate front, but that's just because the plates from this factory over here haven't reached the assembler yet. Once these start coming in at a steady pace, this should continue making these reinforced iron plates without stopping. But upgrading the conveyor belts here from Mark 1 to Mark 2 will speed them up eventually, and that will help the process here, just because we do have quite a bit of a distance from the factories. And losing our power doesn't help here either. But I think with that power shutdown note, I'm going to leave it there. We've actually got a lot of things accomplished here today. Got a couple of new factories up that are producing our iron components for us, some copper components for us, and we've even managed to get an assembler machine set up making reinforced iron plates. I have been deliberately quite tight with resources in this one, but that's because I'm trying to make things as efficient as I possibly can. And I'm also setting things up so that I can have a bus network for next time. But if you've made it to the very end of this episode, then thank you very much for watching. I do like my factory management games and have a few different playthroughs of different games on this channel, so be sure to check them out as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.